All right. Hello, everybody. I hope you all are doing well. This is DFS Army's NBA pre-lock show. We are here to answer your questions. We'll also go game by game and just kind of talk through our approach. B-Dubs is here. Good to have you back, man, after the break. He's sharing his screen today. And so you'll kind of see his approach, and I'll also kind of talk through mine as we go through it. And then we'll wrap up with the questions that we miss along the way. We have a 9-game slate on deck. Large slate, a lot of news, so we're not going to waste too much time. NFL was yesterday. I think it went well for a lot of people. It was just an okay day for me. How was it for you, Brandon?
Could have been better. I'm sure, like a lot of people, Buffalo, mainly James Cook, disappointed me. I had a crap ton of him, so that part sucked, but definitely hit on a lot of other spots.
Yeah, I feel you. It's like you hit on so many, and then guys like Judkins hurt me a little bit too. But let's look at this NBA slate. We've been on a pretty good run here, so let's keep it going. Portland going up against the Magic. For Portland tonight, no real new injury news, but guys like Damian Lillard, Matisse Thybulle, Blake Wesley, Scoot Henderson, they are all out tonight. Have the matchup against the Magic. Totals 235.5 and a pretty close spread here. Brandon, who are some guys that you are forcing into lineups?
Really only two guys for me. I think this game could potentially go under the radar. It's projected to be one of the closest spreads. I think the closest spread on the slate. So usually I like to attack the main guys on teams in this situation. So Avdia, I just put a 10% min on him just due to his upside and how he's been playing the last couple games. I think he's scored over 58 points both games recently. And Drew Holiday, if there's one spot I love attacking on this Orlando team, it's the guard position, and even more so with Suggs out. So definitely wanted to get some leverage there.
Nice. Guys, good to see you in the chat. Forgot to give y'all a shout out too. Phil, I see you. Don't mention NFL gives you indigestion. Have to pay taxes, need another win. All right, Drew Shea, let's make it happen. For me with Portland, I'm with you. I like this close spread here. I never love picking on the Magic. Their games just tend to be a little boring. I liked Denny on Saturday, and that went pretty well. But today with Denny, I'm just going to force exposure here, but I'm not going to. Oh, I'm doing pretty much the same thing as you. I have a 10% min on Denny, and then Drew Holiday, I have a 5% min. I like the 15%, getting some leverage there, but there's just some other spots I like a little bit more, but definitely a strong play still. He's been on fire this year. We don't see Portland on the slate too often, so when they're here, I got to take some shots. Other side of this game, we have the Orlando Magic. These guys have been a pain in the ass this season. They just haven't been that great. Good news, Jalen Suggs is out, so that does open up some usage and some minutes here. You're going to see Orlando guys pop for you a good bit on this slate. What was your strategy with Orlando, Brandon?
Yeah, so I really didn't have to do anything here. The obvious, of course, is Anthony Black with Suggs out. He has typically done well so far this season with Suggs out, and when he sees over 30 minutes, he can definitely pay this price off. So I capped him at 70%. Just on bigger slates, you'll kind of see more of my higher owned guys. I have at 70, and that's just to ensure that I spread the love throughout the rest of my line. So I did cap him at 70. Wouldn't hate it if you wanted to go like 80. Don't think I can go much higher than that.
Yeah.
Bane is kind of popping naturally. He's at 28%. Definitely feel uneasy with him. It's not really surprising me, like the lack of upside he's shown so far this season. Because you got guys like Franz and Paolo who take most of the usage on this team. So he is a bit concerning. So definitely don't mind if you want to fade that spot. But 6,100 in a pretty decent matchup. I'm not going to lower him or anything like that. I'm just going to roll with it.
Yeah.
And then Franz and Paolo are always honorable mentions. They both have crazy high upside, but both of them are just so inconsistent, and they're both priced pretty high. So they don't hit value more than hitting value, so I didn't really force the issue on those two.
Man, all I'm gonna say is do not look at the game log for Desmond Bain.
Yeah,
Because
it's pretty
it
bad.
will
It's
make
pretty bad.
you question everything. I will say, a guy like Desmond Bain, he does see a 2.4% increase in usage with Suggs out. Matchups not terrible. He's just been terrible. He's 6,100. Honestly, I would prefer if he was in that 5K range. I have a 35% exposure maximum on Bain, only because he's showing up in 41% of my lineups, which isn't awful. He's kind of improved it territory for me right now, so I'm actually gonna lower that to 30%. He probably will go off tonight. He's the chalk of the slate, but he just hasn't shown it, so I can't do it right now. So I'm gonna put a 30% cap there. I have a 10% min on Franz Wagner. I like him when he's in the 7K range. No Suggs, slight increase in usage. I think it's solid. And then Paolo is price. He's a little pricey, but I have a 5% min on him. Like I keep saying, this is just a game I like, so I'm forcing exposure here. And none of the other Magic are showing up. Next up, we have a game that's also getting a lot of attention. Lakers going up against the Hornets. We have been talking about it all year, and even before the season kicked off. Hornets are a team that you're going to want to pick on this year. It's just the way it is. They've been a bit better against bigs, so there's that, but we can still pick on them. LeBron James is out. Gabe Vincent is out. There's no real new injury news here besides the fact that Austin Reeves is returning. And so that's what kind of makes things a little bit grosser than they were. What are you doing here, Brandon?
Yeah, it's really just Luka for me and move on. Put a 15% min on Luka. I usually don't mind targeting Reeves, but at this price, I usually only like playing him when Luka is out as well. So not saying he can't get there, but I'll take my chances at 8,400. So won't talk you out of playing him, especially against the Hornets. But with Luka in, I just couldn't pull the trigger. And I know you just said they've gotten better against bigs, but it just really pisses me off that Ayton is in this spot because I just can't play that guy. Like, he has not been good at all. So if he was like 6K, I would take that shot, but not at 7,300. I can't do it.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And they've gotten better, but getting better from being the worst doesn't mean all that much. I have a 20% min on Luka. It does worry me a little bit that Reeves is back, but he was still explosive even when Reeves was playing. So in a plus matchup, I'm just going to get over the field here. And then I have a 15% min on Reeves, forcing myself to be a bit over the field here. It's more of a sim-auto play than anything. Kind of like you mentioned, Brandon, I don't love it. I think he's too expensive, but the sim likes someone. And on a slate like this where it's not popping on with too many people, I'm just going to pick and choose some spots I also like.
Yeah, if he was 7K, I would feel way better about that play.
Yeah, he's priced up right now for who knows why. Other side of this game, we have the Charlotte Hornets. Charlotte, they are without LaMelo. Surprise, surprise. Sexton is returning, so that's why you might see a little bit less interest in guys like Conkanipple, and then Bridges is playing tonight as well. Do you like any of the Hornets?
Yeah, really, it's only Conkanipple for me. Put a 20% min on him, and he'll be a leverage play, especially with LaMelo still out. This dude has just kind of been taking over at least 40 points in the last three games, and just look at his shot attempts. Like, this dude is a shooter and definitely taking them. So love this spot for him in a pretty soft matchup. I was gonna save my Cooper Flag slander for later, but since they both went to Duke, Knipple was definitely showing he's the better Dookie so far. So wanted to throw that in there. So I do like him quite a bit. And yeah, no one else really. I usually like taking shots on Bridges, but he's a little too high for me in price.
Yeah, I was having the same discussion in my head about Bridges tonight. Like, no ownership, 8,800, not the worst game environment, but I just think there's better plays on this slate. William, I mean, honestly, that's part of why I'm kind of confused with the Bane thing here, because Suggs hasn't played before this season, and we haven't seen anything change. I really just think people feel like he's due with the slight increasing usage. So I'll have exposure, but the situation isn't really that different from what we've seen this season.
Yeah, and Concanip was like a perfect example of a pivot off of that chalk.
Yep. And for me, I like Concanipple, not as much as you do, but I have a 10% min on him. So I'll just be close to field weight there. And none of the other Hornets are showing up for me. Next up, we have the second highest game total. Nope, lied. Third highest game total on the slate. The Wizards going up against the Pistons. Biggest concern here is just going to be the widespread. For Washington tonight, they are without Bilal Coulibaly. But outside of that, they're pretty healthy. What are you doing here with Washington?
I put a 15% on SAR. We keep talking about him every show. He's just playing really solid ball right now. This team overall sucks, but he's kind of the one bright spot that just has been very consistent. And I still like his price in this spot, so just wanted to be slightly over the field there. And then I did put a 10% min on CJ McCollum. He's starting to kind of look like his old self. Last two games, he put up 35 and like 40-something DraftKings points and still under 6K. So just due to that price, I wanted some exposure there with how he's playing.
Yeah.
The rest of these guys, they're just a little too inconsistent for my liking to force the issue there.
Yep. We're going to see it a lot on this slate. There's some of these guys we've been on for so long this season. I know we're only 3 weeks in. And I think Sarr is a great example of that. Like, he was so cheap. We've been over the whole season. And now he's starting to get priced appropriately. But this is still a good spot for him. I have a 15. I'm doing the exact same thing as you. I have a 15% min on Sarr, 10% min on CJ. CJ's terrifying. I don't really trust him. But if this game is going to stay close, I have to assume it's CJ and Sarr doing a lot of the heavy lifting with maybe a little bit of George. But Sarr and CJ are the only priorities I'm putting down here. And there is a little bit of Bub Carrington showing up for me around 1%. I'm not going to tinker with that. That's just going to be what it is. Next up, we have the Pistons. This is where things get interesting because Detroit, Tobias Harris is out. Asar Thompson is still listed as questionable. That could really make things even messier. Isaiah Stewart is already ruled out. That's why you're seeing guys like Ron Holland boost up and show up in every single optimizer. Karis LeVert is also listed as questionable, which would impact things like Duncan Robinson, maybe even Javonte Green a little bit. But again, just more usage going around if these guys end up getting ruled out. A lot of these guys are probably showing up for you by themselves, Brandon, but what are you seeing here?
Yeah, I'll start with Ron Holland. He's definitely the scary chalk of the night for sure, especially with his recent performance. I'm going to eat that chalk, though. I did cap him at 70 for the reasons I said earlier, just to get some other guys mixed in the rest of my lines. But main reason why I'm going to eat it, he is playing over 30 minutes. He played, I think, exactly 33 minutes last game. And then the matchup is super soft. Wizards are one of the worst, if not the worst team in the league right now. So that's pretty huge for me. And then he's $600 cheaper than he was last late too. So price is huge for me as well. So with the value, we're kind of lacking. If you look at other guys around this price, there's just nobody in this situation that he's in. So for me, it's kind of hard not to eat this chalk, especially you can play him at small forward and power forward. So he just makes lines look good, at least on paper. Yeah, definitely don't feel good about it, but it is what it is. Duran, however, he's definitely one of the brighter stars on this team. I think the last 3 or 4 games, he scored over 50 fantasy points. Just playing really solid.
Wait, Brandon, I didn't want to interrupt you. We just got some more news. Josh Giddey is officially ruled out. They put in parentheses,
That changes a
Margaret
lot.
Hunter.
That changes a lot.
Yep.
Yeah.
Things
I
keep
take
getting
back
more.
what I said about value because that will definitely open up some more things. So
Yeah.
I'm curious to see if that ownership will drop on Holland. I mean, probably not just because of the spot he's in, but maybe lower than 50%. So we'll see.
Yeah.
But yeah, Duran is just playing amazing right now. Still, I think priced too low. He should be over 8K by this point, but not going to complain. Just going to continue to play him. And then only other manual change I did cap Azar at 40. Just not somebody I want as a core play. He hasn't been bad, but he hasn't really been playing good enough to pay off this price. Like he gets around 30 points, but we definitely want 40 plus at this price. So the matchup is good, but I figured 40 was a good number at 22% ownership. Still double the field, so if he does smash, I'm good there. And then Cade, he's very frustrating this season because, like, in real life basketball, like he's playing really well and putting up good numbers, but DFS wise, he's not quite doing what we need him to do. He's continued to be priced over 10K, and of course, we want to see 60 plus, but he continues to get in the lower 50 range. So definitely understand not wanting to play him, but I know what he's capable of, and I say it again: Wizards are the worst team in the league right now. So I'm just gonna play him. So
Yeah, I mean, hard to argue with that. Curious to see how much Paul Reed you're getting right now.
I did not even notice that. 27%.
Mm-hmm. He's shown up.
16% Javante Green too.
Yep.
I'm not going to adjust it yet, especially with that Getty news. I think that
Yeah.
might level out some. If it stays that high, I might adjust for it.
Mm-hmm.
If you play the blowout narrative, these turds down here can definitely kind of break the slate. Like I said, with the little value we have, but yeah, I don't feel too confident in him or Javante Green.
Yeah, these are guys that start to pop a bit for me. And so I did put an exposure maximum on Paul Reed at 30%. And then Javante Green, I have an exposure maximum of 20% just to make sure they're not showing up much more than that. I agree with you. I think with some of the value we'll get from Chicago, this should naturally go down. Ron Holland, I was going to have an exposure maximum on, but he's a low usage guy, but the minutes are there. Matchup is soft. 4,300. I'm just going to allow him to show up however much he's going to, which is going to be a lot. And I have a 15% min on Asar Thompson. He fell for me originally when I put a 60% exposure maximum on him. And then he didn't show up at all. So I kind of had to put a 15% min just to kind of get him to show up in the mix. Ideally, his ownership will fall some too with the news and with the Q tag. So 15 ideally for me will be closer to field weight. Jalen Duren showing up in pretty much every single lineup. And then a guy like Duncan Robinson, I'm just going to wait and see what happens with news, but he's not showing up for me too much right now. All right. Next game, we have the Cavs going up against the Miami Heat. For Cleveland tonight, we have Darius Garland back. No real injury news here. Larry Nance Jr. is questionable, but that doesn't change things for me too much. The bigger news is on Miami, which I'll go ahead and touch on. Bam Adebayo is out, which should make this a bit of a softer matchup for Cleveland. What's your thought process on some of the men's you have down here?
I almost skipped past this team, but then when I looked at it again, I was like, this is the highest game total on the slate, and I want some exposure here. So I just mainly focused on the three guys with the highest upside, and that's Jared Allen, Mitchell, and Mobley. Just 10% mins on all of them. I think Allen is still priced decently. He put up a dud last game, but before that, he's been playing really well, and we all know the upside that Mitchell and Mobley have. So definitely just wanted to get some exposure to these guys. I don't really trust anyone outside of them. Usually I like to get some Garland too, but I'm still kind of waiting to pull the trigger on him.
Yeah, we're not going to go too crazy there yet, but I'm with you. I love taking shots on him. And even Donovan Mitchell, oddly enough, doesn't really see a massive drop off when Darius Garland is in the lineup. Doesn't really make sense in my brain, but it's just what happens in reality. And I'm with you on pretty much all of this. I have a 10% min on Mitchell, 10% min on Mobley, highest total game. It's something we do every single time. Then I have a 15% min on Jared Allen, really just trying to make that leverage more dramatic because the matchup is really soft here. And I just think he's going to go under-owned in this spot. Next up, we have the Miami Heat going up against Cleveland. When it comes to injury news, we touched on Bam being out. That's really the biggest thing here. I think everyone's expecting Larson to start for Bam, and everyone else sees a boost in usage as well. Who's standing out for you? I think Miami's a team. They just get weird with minutes sometimes, so it's hard to feel great with any of these guys.
Yeah, I'm getting a little bit of Wiggins. I didn't force him in, but he's another frustrating guy who should be playing way better than he is, especially with Bam out. I have him at 11%, so I'm okay with that. I'm not going to do anything to lower it or make it higher. Yeah. The only one I really forced in was Jaquez. It's just kind of hard to deny how he's been playing. He's consistently been getting around 40 fantasy points, and it's kind of been the guy that's stepped up more than anyone else, especially with Bam out. So I even thought about Ware, but I just really haven't seen enough out of him this season to continue to force the issue with him.
Yeah, I get it. For me, I'm looking for reasons to play these guys. So I followed not you, because I didn't really know what you're going to do here, but I also have a 15% min on Jaime Jaquez, and I have a 5% min on Norman Powell. You were right. Last time we did this show, really since his injury, he hasn't really shown a ton of upside, but the minutes are getting back to where they should be. We just kind of need him to get back in better form. So I have a 5% min on him. Andrew Wiggins is naturally showing up in roughly 20-25% of my lineups without doing anything. So ideally that will stay. And then Where I have a 5% min on. I just like this spot with Bam being ruled out. Should give him a little bit of a safer floor when it comes to minutes. But like I said earlier, these minutes are all over the place, so it's hard to get overly excited about anyone in particular. All right. Next up, we have the Spurs going up against the Bulls. Second highest total game on the slate. 5.5 point spread. Not bad. We saw last time out that De'Aaron Fox re-entered this lineup. From an injury standpoint, Luke Cornett is listed as questionable. Not the biggest deal here. Do you like the Spurs tonight, Brandon?
Just one guy, and that's De'Aaron Fox. I was kind of, I won't say I was surprised, but his first game back, he started out pretty slow, but definitely towards the second half of the game, like he looked like his old self, and I think he ended up being the highest scorer on the team that night. So, one big thing for me too is no minutes limit. So he must be feeling really good for them not to restrict him in any kind of way. So I just feel 6,900 is too cheap for how he can play. So 15% min there, and didn't really target anyone else. Still waiting on Wemby to kind of get back in better form. Not sure what's going on with him, but the way he's playing is just hard to play him at just about 12K, especially with Luke on the slate too.
Yeah, no, hard to argue with that. I do have a 5% min on Wemby. For me, the Bulls, their defense has also improved this year, but Vucevic, he can't fool me. Like, I know he is not a great defender, no matter how hard he's going to work. And so this looks like a pretty solid potential bounce back spot for Wemby, and I just want some exposure to it when no one else is. Then I also have a 15% min on De'Aaron Fox. I wish Castle was a little bit cheaper, but I can't argue with them. He should be priced up.
Yeah, I'm a big Castle fan, but 7,800 was a bit tough for me to target tonight.
Yep. Then on the Bulls side of things, we have Giddy out. I think that's what really moves the needle here. Everyone and their mom is, I think, going to be on some of the right plays here. Guys like Kevin Huerter, Ayo Dosunmu, like we're playing these guys. I don't think that's going to be much of a question. I do want to wait and see what the DS does. It looks like we might have already updated some of this. So curious to kind of get your thoughts here, Brandon.
Yeah, Jules, you already beat me to it in the chat, but we got news that IO won't have a minutes limit, which I was hoping for if Giddey was going to be rolled out. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's going to be a core play. I'm going to be all over him at 4,200. Not sure how much Trey Jones I will have, but I definitely like him way better with Giddey out. His usage should definitely go way up with Giddey out, of course. Herder is going to be another viable value option. He's a bit scarier because he tends to rely more on his shot, and if it's not falling, he can definitely put up a dud. But I'm still going to get exposure to him with all the usage that just freed up. And then Vooch, I didn't have him at first, but again, he now has the highest upside on his team with Giddey out, so it's just hard not to want to get some exposure there. So I'll kind of wait and see how ownership updates to get specifics on him.
Yeah, I'm with you. I want to wait and see how the DS updates. And like I said, if you refresh, it already has. IO right now is showing up in 97% of my lineups.
I figured.
I am okay with that, especially if he's not going to see a minutes limit. I'm not overly concerned. Trey Jones is now showing up in 43% of my lineups. I like that. He's been very involved in these spots when Giddey misses. And Herder is showing up in about 17% of my lineups. We'll have to wait and see where ownership falls. But assuming that's going to be close to field weight, I'm here for it. And then outside of that, no one else is really showing up. Again, I want to see how ownership and things like that evolve before I take some extra shots on guys I'm considering. And I am thinking about guys like Vucevic and Buzelis as well. Those are guys that I plan on being over the field on, but we got to wait and see how ownership's going to fall there.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned Buzelis. I definitely forgot about him. He's been very frustrating this season, but again, no Giddey at 5,900. He's probably going to be somebody I want in the mix as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to be shy when it comes to the Bulls tonight. They're going to be everywhere for me. Next up, we have the Bucks going up against Dallas. Lowest total on the slate, but a close spread. What are you doing with the Bucks?
Really just focusing on two guys. I've said it in the past. I like attacking this Dallas front court, especially if AD gets rolled out again. I want exposure to Giannis. I put a 15% min there and then a 10% min on Turner. Turner, I don't feel as confident in just because he's not as consistent and his floor is pretty low when he's off. But definitely if he's knocking some shots down and can kind of do some of the dirty work down low, he can pay off 6,100. So definitely want some shares there if these guys continue to miss for Dallas.
Yeah. William, man, you're right. Like Miami, they've been playing so fast. That's why they have the highest total on the slate.
Lazar and LeVert are out.
What?
So, yeah.
Yeah, LeVert. Ooh, a star out.
Yeah, so I'm just going to take this cap off. I'm taking the cap
Holland.
off of Holland.
But I mean, the blowout risk is getting bigger and bigger here.
Holland, I'm not too concerned with. I'd be more so concerned with Duren and Cade for that, but Holland, not as much.
Yeah, I mean, I still like the min on Cade, but it makes me like your cap on Duren a little bit more. I don't need 97% of him. I think 70 is a bit better now, just knowing there's more of a risk. And I think the mins that we have on Washington are still appropriate too. Sweet. All right. For me, with Milwaukee, it's a 15% min on Giannis, and that is all I'm touching here. I don't hate Turner. I just like other bigs a bit more. For Dallas, this is a team where injury news will matter. I hope we get it sooner rather than later. AD is listed as questionable. You know, that's a pretty big deal. We'll see what happens there. Gafford is listed as questionable, and Derek Lively is listed as doubtful. So those are the bigs for Dallas. So we just kind of have to wait and see here. But what are you doing without any information, basically?
Yeah, currently nothing. This was a pretty easy team for me to skip past. If AD and Gafford get rolled out, then I'll come back and revisit. But no one's standing out at these prices for now.
Yeah. Do you want to give your Cooper flag rant?
All I'll say is outside of that one game where you had him as a leverage play, that was the only one time he has not made value. He should be a 6K player, not a 7K player. And that's all I'll say.
Oh, yeah, I don't disagree. For me, with a lot of these guys, there's a time and a place. And this is not the time nor the place to take shots on Cooper, especially with AD back. I think that will probably hurt him a good amount. Next up, we have the Timberwolves going up against the Jazz. I think everyone's kind of surprised this spread is pretty close in that all of these guys are healthy. But if you put that to the side, we all know the Jazz are a really bad defensive team. And so I think we're just attacking it here. What's your strategy here?
Yeah, I'll start with Ant. Didn't really have to do much there. He was, well, let me see. Yeah, he's still showing up quite a bit, 51%. He went up even more. So like him quite a bit. Love the price. Great matchup. Randall, I put a 15% min on. Even when Ant is in, we've still seen Randall have nice upside. He's scored around 50 points multiple times so far this season. So only made sense for me to get some exposure there. And then Gobert, I'll put 10% min on him as well. Just again, due to the matchup, he's not as consistent and his floor is pretty bad as well. But 6K against Utah, I was just willing to take that shot. And then Jaden McDaniels, he was more so of a sim model play for me and kind of one of my pivots off of Chalky Azar, which, I mean, he's rolled out now. So he was kind of one of my favorite guys to get leverage on. And he's been averaging a little over 30 points, fantasy points per game, and is priced under 6K. So just another guy I liked in this spot. So I like this team quite a bit tonight.
Yeah, I was not on Jaden McDaniels, but you're right. The sim does like him. I am going to put a 5% min on him. I think that's a good call, though. Ant is showing up in 48% of my lineups naturally. I don't feel overly passionate about Ant today, but I'm not going to tinker with it. He'll show up however much he does. So we'll see what happens with the Detroit news and see if that increases how much I get or lessens. And then I have a 15% min on Randall, 10% min on Gobert. We're aligned there. We like picking on the Jazz. I was going back and forth on Naz Reid. I think we just have better value at this point, and so I'm not going to force it, but he was close to making the cutting board for me. For the Jazz tonight, I told y'all, at some point they were going to realize they were bad. They were solid to start off the season, but they're definitely slowing down now. Tough matchup here. This is a team that got blown out just a couple of slates ago by 40-some points. But are you taking any shots here on the Jazz?
Not really. I didn't force anybody in. I was getting a decent amount of Nurk, which I'm still am. I don't know if I'm going to stay with this 50%. I just don't really like this spot for Utah. But he will be one of them I do have. I might cap to 20%. We'll see. And then I usually like taking shots on Keontae, but tonight's just not that night. So yeah. Overall, don't really like this team much tonight.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm just never a big fan of picking on the Timberwolves too much. Nurkic is showing. Oh, I did cap Nurkic at 20%. Yeah. I was wondering. I was like, oh, he's only showed up in 20% of my lineups. But yeah, that's the exposure maximum I put on him. And then none of these other guys are popping, and I can't be bothered with them right now. Next up, we have the Pelicans going up against the Suns. Pelicans are a really bad defensive team, and the Suns just lost Jalen Green after he re-injured his hamstring. That's why you don't rush people back. But he was out for a little bit. Anyway, for the Pelicans tonight, they are still without Zion. Jordan Poole's still out, and DeJounte Murray. The news is we did get the fact that Misi will be back, and so that does lower my excitement a little bit on a guy like Derek Queen, but it didn't bring yours down too much. He's a leverage play for you tonight.
Yeah, I might go just a tad bit lower, just with some of that other value opening up. I threw him in the mix just because before that Giddy news, like I said, we didn't have too much. So Phoenix's defense, I'm not too concerned with him. Pretty soft spot for this side of the ball. So
Modern day
definitely don't
Hornets.
mind some exposure to him still. I definitely don't like that Misi is back, but I think he still gets run. It just might not be till the end of the game like they've been running him. So definitely not as strong of a play as he has been, but still viable for me. I just probably lower it a bit more.
Yeah.
But yeah, Fears, he was popping as a core play. He was another guy I was iffy about with how he's been playing. He's been very inconsistent, but thankfully we got that news and he dropped quite a bit. He's still pretty up there, so I still have to do some tweaking with this Chicago news. But as long as he's not a core play, I feel a bit better there. And then I didn't force anyone else in outside of Queen. Herb, I'm fine with, another inconsistent guy, but decently priced for the situation. I won't talk anybody out of Murphy. We've seen him have some massive games when Zion is out. So I didn't force him just due to him being close to 8K, but we saw him put up a massive game not too long ago. So wouldn't talk you out of him. And yeah, no one else is really standing out. I'm just kind of letting the DS dictate who I'm getting here. A little bit of Bay.
Yeah, I have a 60% exposure maximum on Jeremiah Fears. He's young. We're going to see a wide variety of outcomes on a guy like this, but he should get plenty of run, and he has plenty of upside too. He's involved. Derek Queen, I've been going back and forth between a 10% min and a 15% min. Right now I have a 15% min, but I'm really close to moving it down to a 10% min. We're really betting on the coach not being an idiot here. Derek Queen is one of the better players for the Pelicans, and so he should freaking start. But assuming he's not going to do that, he should continue to see plenty of run. It's just you can't possibly know. So I'm going to keep the 15% min just because of how good he is, and he's still too cheap for the talent. But there's a ton of risk here. I just really want to highlight that fact, is that we're really just kind of betting on coach being smart. And then let me see. Any other Pelicans? Nope. Wait, actually, Herb Jones is showing up in about 11% of my lineups. And that is about it. So hopefully that 15% min does some damage for us.
Yeah, I'm hoping so of course I would expect Misi to start, and then I'm hoping they just kind of phase Looney out a bit and then just keep Queen in the same role to where they just kind of give him more run towards the end of the game. So
that's exactly how I have it, is just move Looney out of the rotation basically and keep Queen involved. Anything else is just going to be so freaking painful.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, we have final game on the slate. Really soft matchup here for the Suns. For Phoenix, they are without Jalen Green, and that's really the only news here. Bit of a boost for Booker with that information. But it looks like you like Mark Williams.
Yeah, he was popping in the sim model, and he's been playing a little better recently. So I like him at 6,600. This matchup is just really good, and he was the one son I wanted to make sure I had exposure to. I always consider Booker, but 9,600, he just hasn't really been paying that price off. I wish he was a bit cheaper, so couldn't go there. Consider Grayson too, because we've seen him have some solid games so far this season, but didn't get to him with some of the other spots. And yeah, only other son I had was he dropped down quite a bit. It was 1% Gillespie, which I'm not a huge fan of that either. But
Yeah. The thing I love here is just a super soft matchup against the Pelicans. Uh, Devin Booker is a leverage play for me tonight. I have a 15% min on him. It's ugly because he is priced up and he hasn't really shown us a lot of upside so far this season, but this is just another potential bounce back spot for me. And then I have a 10% min on Williams. Like you said, Samato likes him. He's priced appropriately. I like the matchup, so I'm willing to force some exposure there. And then with Dylan Brooks coming back, I thought about Allen too, but that's just more missed shots to go around. So I don't love Allen as much here at this price tag. So that's pretty much it for this slate, y'all. There's a ton of news. Just so you all know, like in my most recent run, guys like Trey Jones and Kevin Huerter are borderline core plays for me at this point. So we'll definitely have to be in the Discord. So I'm talking through a little bit of this. Like you said, Michael, it's just a skeleton crew out there. Steve said, "Are we playing Duncan Robinson?" Ugh, what is this? Brandon, have you given Duncan Robinson any thought? Like, there's not too much to go off of right now.
Yeah, he's probably just going to be a guy. If the DS gives me some, I'll roll with it. If not, I'm not going to force him. He's just so frustrating to play because he plays so many minutes and just doesn't do anything with them. So,
yeah. I mean, I think for me, it's really Jalen Duren, Ron Holland. We're going to force a little bit of Cade. And then
Javonte Green is starting, so I feel a bit better about that play.
Yeah. Let me see. Where's Javonte Green?
Oh, yeah, he's showing up at 95% right now.
Yeah, he's showing up in 55% of my lineups. So close to being a core play, but not all the way up there yet. And Paul Reed is showing up, or he's basically non-existent for me now. So I had the cap on him. I do just think, especially just with him being so cheap, I like having some exposure. So I will put a 10% min on Paul Reed just to kind of add him into the mix, but I'm not going too crazy there.
I'm going to double that because I think he sees more minutes with Azar and LeVert out.
Yeah, I hope he does. It's so weird. Like, I'm going from 60 to 25 to no Paul Reed. So we'll see what this next run does. I'm going to keep a close eye out for it. Yeah, John, good question with Buzelis. We didn't really go back to the Bulls. For me, let me see. It doesn't look like, I don't think he'll see a ton of ownership, but I personally like him. So I'm going to put a 10% min on him. But I think just being closer to field weight, anywhere from like 5 to 8% is appropriate. He hasn't been the best Bull lately, kind of like you mentioned, Brandon. I think the guys I'm focusing on here are Herter, Io, and Trey Jones. Anything else you would add, or you're going to do differently here?
I'm doing the same exact thing.
Yeah, and then I did put a 10% min on Vooch.
Yeah, I just did that too. 10 on Vooch and Buzelis for me, and the guys you just mentioned will kind of be the main focus.
Yep. All right, so we're going to call it here, y'all. Appreciate everything and the support. We will be back tomorrow, maybe with madness. We'll have to wait and see, make it a trio. But good luck tonight. See y'all tomorrow.